the Saint Slaves, in my whole tenure in the club, it was the only club that ever went from their patch to the Hells Angel patch. Everybody else, man, it was pure hell for them. Like the Dirty Dozen, where Sonny ultimately went, the Dirty Dozen was trying to become Hells Angels. I mean, they almost didn't make it. And I think if there are any of the original guys that patched over from Dirty Dozen to Hells Angels, they'll tell you, I'm the one that went to him. And I said, the reason you're not making, you keep getting shot down on the votes is because I said, you need to take that Dirty Dozen patch off. They refused to take the Dirty Dozen patch off. They wanted a prospect with the Dirty Dozen patch on. I said, look, man, you guys aren't part of the family. I go, I know you guys think you're well known, and you are, but not so much out of your state. And I said, you need a United States vote to get this charter here in Arizona. And I said, what you need to do is you need to put on a red and white Arizona bottom rocker. And I said, you guys do that? I said, I guarantee you'll be voted in within months. And they did, and they were. And I've got to tell you, I've had several of them come up to me afterwards and thank me. But that's a whole different story. Sonny coming back from jail and realizing his power had really eroded. So what does he do? He goes to Arizona, man. Starts over, man. It's fucking ballsy. The Banditos had come to Ventura to talk to me about peace. And Ralph got really pissed off that I had called a meeting and not talked to him about it, Well, what I did was I cleared it through the officers' meeting, and Ralph hadn't been going to the officers' meeting. So I didn't think I owed him a phone call. He wasn't involved in the political arena, and I took it upon myself to engage the Banditos. I was trying to stop that war in Europe, and things are spouting up again. I was trying to keep it curtailed. But anyways, I invited the Banditos from Texas and Washington to come to Ventura. They all flew to Texas and then rode out in a pack, and they went through Arizona. And they ran into them. They heard they were coming, and so the Hells Angels said, what are you doing? They go, we're going to meet George. And it just burned his ass. And so he said, when you guys ride through my state, you got to give me a call. And that's Sonny called me to chew me out for that. And I said, well, this is me and Hoover talking. I said, well, it sounds to me like your problem's with the Banditos, not me. I go, I wasn't riding through your state. And I'm being a smart ass. And then Sonny says something else. Like, Sonny says something else. And then I go, is that it? And he goes, yeah, I think that's about it, George. And I said, well, ask Ralph if there's anything else. And he just goes, you're an asshole, George. Hoover told me that. And he never said anything. All he said is, you're an asshole, George. He didn't even say nothing to Sonny. And then Hoover and I hung up. But, some real political tension, man. I mean, real political theater, political theater. Sonny had called 911, and that really drove a wedge between us because it's, against the rules to call 911. I wasn't even involved in that movement. Chico from Frisco, who Sonny thought was his ace deuce, had taken the news article, sent it to New York, and New York started this push that maybe Sonny should get kicked out of the club because he called 911. I'm the guy, and he, unbeknownst to him, I'm the guy that came to his aid. People were talking. I go, how are you going to kick Sonny Barger out of the club? I go, for calling 911? I go, do you really think Sonny was going to go testify against anybody? I said, it ain't happening. I go, Sonny got engaged in a conversation that he shouldn't have got engaged in. I go, I think we're making a mountain out of a molehill here. This thing opened up such a can of worms. His wife, Noelle, at the time, I'm getting a little smile on my face. I'm thinking about an alternative story here. You don't marry the porn star. Note to self. So Noelle is a underground. She does live sex acts in San Francisco. So the guys want to take Sonny out on the town, and they go, let's take him to the live sex show in San Francisco. And I'm not going to say what member took him. I'm not going to say what member told me this because he's still in the club. But he said, man, he goes, nobody told Sonny you don't marry the porn star. Fucking Sonny fell in love with her and married her. And we said, no more sex shows for Sonny. Sonny and Noel are having marital problems. Sonny, that's his fourth or fifth, I don't know, married several times. And so he's out. Noel's hunting him down. Noel sees him coming back to the ranch. Noel's not staying at the ranch now, but Noel sees him coming back to the ranch, and she starts chasing him. She's in her car. She's trying to run him off the road. She's trying to bump into him. He's got this girl on the back. And so, all hell's breaking loose. Sonny gets back to the ranch. The girl goes and hides somewhere. I don't know what happened. Noel and Sonny start fighting. So Sonny gets in a fight with Noel, gets in a fight with her daughter, 14-year-old daughter, and takes Noel, and I don't know how bad he beat her up. Bad enough for her to say, call an ambulance. So you get the 911 call. This is Ralph Barger, at such and such, such and such. They give the address, and he goes, my wife needs an ambulance. She says she can't move, and she's being dramatic, And so, they say, okay, hang on. And they transfer the call. So the medical call goes in. They transfer the call to the police. Now the police are on the phone, and the police say, so what was going on there? And these are the things people took exception to. And I don't know if Sonny had a lapse of judgment or whatever. He said, well, Noel was trying to run me off the road. So that was the first thing, they felt he put her in a compromising position. These are the people that want him kicked out of the club. So the next thing was, is anybody armed? And he says, well, I'm not, but there's a gun in the car. So there's another thing people, say he should have said, I don't know. Are you guys using drugs? And he goes, well, I'm not. And this goes on. He talks on the phone for 20 minutes, and he makes all these cavalier remarks. Cops show up, the ambulances show up. Sonny winds up getting arrested because there's a gun hidden in the car. There's a gun out in the garage. Just, he's a felon. He can't have a gun. So Sonny gets arrested. They start having a hearing. And in the hearing, they play the 911 tape. And in the hearing, and I think it's completely by coincidence, the attorney says to somebody in law enforcement, well, Noel's not giving you information, is she? They adjourn the court, clear the court, and they, sidebar conference, and they come back in. And then they find out Noel has been working for the FBI. She's getting $1,000 a week for the information. So all hell breaks loose. And so now you've got the 911 calls. You've got the court transcripts that Noel's an informant, what she's getting paid. So at the end of all this, the judge doesn't like the search. He doesn't hold Sonny to answer for the guns because the circumstances are, they're so flamboyant, and there's all of a sudden we realize she's working for the cops. And so it's a big controversy, as you can imagine, in the club. So people in the club are starting to question what transpired. So I get the transcripts, court transcripts, because it's public record, except for the, closed court hearing stuff. So in the court records, they've got the 911, all word for word what was said, the whole tape's in there. They've got the fact that Noel's now a police informant. All these things come out. So Sonny tells everyone in the club that I made up the transcripts. That's not what really was said in the court, and that's not what was said on the 911 call. I'm embellishing by putting my own dialogue in, I'm typing in my own dialogue. So Sonny and I are going to have a showdown. Sonny's an Oakland member. I'm a Ventura member. We're going to meet in the Oakland clubhouse, and we're going to hash it out. Sonny and I go in the back room, and we argue a couple of hours. And, the whole meeting starts off bad. He starts it off by saying, we may have to fight over this, George. So I immediately took my glasses off, handed them to one of my guys, because I thought he was going to blast me or something. And everybody kind of, let's go in the back and do this sensibly. There's no reason for you guys to fight. So we go in the back and we talk, and then Sonny says, now, you have to understand, we have a West Coast chairman. Sonny's held that position. I've held that position. I held it for like 12, 15 years. Now there's a new person holding that position. His name is Papa. He gets murdered in San Francisco by the Mongols. But at this particular point in time, he's the West Coast chairman. And he's kind of hosting the sit down between Sonny and I. I've got 1 second there. Sonny's got 1 second with him. And we're trying to have a civil conversation, but it gets heated at times. And then finally I get tired of going in circles with him, and I said, look, man, I go, you're saying I made up the transcripts and that's not what you said on the tape. He goes, yeah, that's not what I said on the tape. And I go, that is what you said on the tape. He goes, bullshit. And I said, I got the 911 tape recording right here. And he's livid now. And he said, and, Papa, I got to give him credit. Sonny said to me, he's just frustrated because he's got caught. Now he's caught lying. He knows that that's what was said word for word. And he says to me, why do you have the 911 tape? He's going to try to back me up. And Papa goes, because I told him if he was telling the truth to get the 911 tape and I would listen to it. And he said, that's why we're here, Sonny. Everything in that transcript's on this tape. That's what you said. And I could see Sonny's like, and we're not going to get anywhere. So I said, finally, I go, Papa, can I say something? Because Papa's hosting the meeting. I said, how about if we agree that we're never going to agree on this, Sonny? And you know what? I think it was an accident. I don't think you were trying to get anybody in trouble with the police. I think it was poor judgment, man. But let's just let it go. And I said, I'm not the guy that was after you. I go, the people that were after you are sitting out in that room because all officers were there from California and the West Coast. I said, all officers are out there. And I said, let's go out there. Let's tell them it's settled. Let's say it was just a misunderstanding, and let's move on. And he told me, and this was a real profound moment for me. And this is when I realized Sonny Barger felt he was above the rules, because he said to me, I'm not going out to that meeting. He goes, and talk to the general body of people. He goes, I'm Sonny Barger. I don't answer to no one. And I said, well, there it is there, Ralph. And I said, you somehow think, and I drew back from a long time ago. I said, somehow you think I'm against you. I go, I'm not against you, man. I said, the Sonny Barger I remember? I go, remember when we stood the cops off? up in Sonoma. And I said, I was on your right shoulder and Iris was on your left. And then behind us were 200 Hells Angels. We told the cops to get the fuck out of town. I go, do you remember that? You know, and he goes, yeah. I said, that's the Sonny Barger I remember. I said, that's the Sonny Barger I'll always remember. You know, it's like Sonny and I had some falling outs. And, you know, I know he came to my 30-year anniversary right in the midst of, we were all having a lot of problems. I think Josh had been killed. You know, the suspicion and the word on the street was Sonny had him killed, and then Hoover got killed, and the suspicion on the street was that was a retaliation for Josh. It was very strange times. But he showed up at my 30-year anniversary. Never thought he'd be there. And it was kind of amazing. It was, if time ever stood still, it stood still when Sonny entered the Ventura Clubhouse. I was in the back partying with one of the other charters from the Bay Area. We were taking mushrooms, and I mean, we were fucked up and partying. And then all of a sudden, Sonny's there, and there was a buzz. And the music was playing. Everybody was partying. But it was like time stood still. He walked in, and he walked in like a king, man. He walked in, and everything seemed to go slow motion. Could have been the drugs. But I walked towards him, and I mean, I didn't know what was going to happen. And he walked, we met, and he embraced me. And I said, I whispered in his ear, you know, I gave him a kiss on the cheek. He kissed me back. I said, no, we're not gay. But I said, I didn't think you were coming. And he goes, there's no other place I'd want to be right now. And I walked back to where I was. He walked out to his own little area with his supporters. And it was just, I'll never forget that as long as I live. There's a book called Angels of Death by Julian Shear and another author. And Julian came and interviewed me with the club's permission. He also came and interviewed Sonny in Arizona with the club's permission. And he was a crime reporter, anti-Hells Angel. I mean, we knew it was a slippery slope. And in the interview, he took a picture of me and he put in the middle of the book, called me the Al Capone of Ventura. That's what the police called me. And then on the other page across from it, he put the Hells Angels' longest serving president in Hells Angel history. And Sonny was offended by that because Sonny was a figurehead. He was no longer he had been an officer for years, but he was still very powerful figurehead. And, you know, the Hells Angels don't have somebody in charge, but what happens is you become a de facto leader, if you will. Like Sonny was a de facto leader. I became a de facto leader when Sonny was in prison, and as well when Sonny was on the street, just like, you know, we were not intentionally, but we had different political views. And when you express your political views, you create tension between each other. And it's a political tug of war, if you will. And he was really mad. He called me up on the phone. He read the book and he goes, you've been president too long. And I said, excuse me? He goes, you've been president too long. And I said, well, it's really none of your business, Ralph. I go, it's Ventura business. I go, you know what? I'll stay in that position as long as I think I'm effective. And when I'm not effective, I'll step away. You know, basically, go to hell, Ralph. And then he goes, and you know what else? And I go, and he's, you know, and you know what else? He's talking through his voice box, and he's screaming at me. And I go, no, what else? And he goes, I think you're a liar, and I think you're a cheat. And I said, oh, really? And I said, do you know what I think? I think what you say doesn't mean a damn anymore. And he hung up on me. And so like a little kid, you know, I call him back, and I have to do this. You know, I get him on the phone, and I go, Ralph, and I'm being brotherly, you know. That's what we call him, Ralph. I go, Ralph. I go, we got disconnected. And he goes, we didn't get disconnected. I hung, and I went slam, and I hung the phone down. And we were like two fucking kids, man, playing on the phone. And that's the last time I officially talked to him.